The Hudson Valley has always been a refuge for travelers seeking an escape from the city. At the center of the historic village of Saugerties, the Esopus Falls provides a striking natural centerpiece. Diamond Mills Resort capitalized directly on this geography. By offering furnished balconies overlooking the water, the hotel commands rates of $300 to $500 a night. When you pay premium rates for a boutique retreat, you are buying peace of mind. The expectation is seamless logistics, empathetic service, and the operational flexibility to handle a delayed flight or a sudden change of plans. This graph of customer reviews reveals a stark polarization. A massive cluster of 5-star ratings is offset by a sharp spike of 1-star reviews. The 5 stars are captive audiences, wedding guests experiencing a coordinated machine. The 1 stars represent independent travelers hitting administrative failures. Booking a room here means accepting an asymmetric risk. You trade operational flexibility for a beautiful view, entering an environment that requires a strict buyer beware approach. The friction begins with what can be described as conditional hospitality. The resort operates on a framework designed to shift all logistical and financial risk entirely onto the guest. This calendar visualizes the peak season cancellation policy, running from May through October. To modify your reservation or get a refund, you must give a full 14 days notice. Inside that 2-week window, you are totally locked in. Even during the off-peak winter months, the penalty zone only shrinks to 72 hours. The official policy explicitly states that these rules are upheld regardless of circumstances, stripping away any possibility of managerial discretion during an emergency. The end of your stay is managed with the same rigidity. The resort enforces a punitive minute-by-minute monetization system for guests leaving their rooms. If you are in your room at 11:31 a.m., just 1 minute past the grace period, you are charged a $25 penalty. By noon, that doubles to $50. By 1 p.m., your credit card is automatically billed for an entire additional night's stay. They even shift the liability for local wildlife onto the consumer. The official balcony door policy warns that any damages or insect infestations caused by keeping the door open are the financial responsibility of the guest. The on-site waterside spa follows suit. They require a 24-hour notice for cancellations, and their documentation specifically notes that sudden illness is not an excusable reason to waive the full fee. This combination of strict deadlines and punitive fees creates a revenue model where the guest bears the entire financial burden for unpredictable modern travel. You might accept policies if the hotel's own operations were flawless. But the digital communication infrastructure frequently breaks down, starting with something as basic as failing to send a confirmation email. This flowchart tracks how a standard booking glitch escalates. A synchronization error on their Squarespace website creates a date discrepancy. The guest, having received no email, calls the front desk for support. At this point, the guest hits an internal wall. Employee reviews repeatedly describe a workplace suffering from zero communication and poor management. When internal coordination is broken, the front desk is ill-equipped to solve complex software errors. This disorganization directly affects the guest experience. Independent reviews consistently note that desk staff are unfriendly, provide mono-word answers, and refuse to investigate obvious discrepancies in the system. Reports of zero communication and no management suggest a staff that lacks the professional support required for high-end hospitality. When internal systems fail, the burden of that frustration is often passed directly to the guest. In a functional boutique hotel, escalating a problem to management triggers a service recovery process. The manager acts as a buffer, using empathy to resolve the friction between rigid software and the guest's needs. The reality at Diamond Mills operates in reverse. Management, often epitomized by interactions with a manager named Sylvia, acts as an enforcer rather than an advocate. If the system books your room for Sunday, but you have Friday dinner reservations at the restaurant, management stubbornly defends the incorrect room date. They choose to trust their siloed software over the obvious logistical reality of your trip. This creates what we can map as a service failure coefficient. When the number of rigid policies maximizes at the top of the equation and management responsiveness drops to 0 at the bottom, the risk of a ruined trip grows exponentially. Instead of solving the problem, leadership treats the guest as the error. They prioritize the integrity of their data over the lived reality of the people paying to stay there. You have to decide if a view of the falls is worth this level of administrative risk, especially when you look at the rest of the market. The surrounding Hudson Valley is filled with viable luxury options, from the AutoCamp Catskills and the Mirbeau Inn and Spa to reliable premium chains in Kingston. This scorecard compares the local market, measuring cancellation flexibility and pet policies. Diamond Mills immediately isolates itself as a severe outlier. Competitors offer 48 to 72-hour flexibility and welcome pets, while Diamond Mills locks you in 2 weeks early and bans animals entirely. Spending $400 a night down the road buys you the exact same geography, but it comes with a massive upgrade in operational flexibility, empathy, and peace of mind. There is one exception. If you are part of a wedding party getting married on the property and the entire weekend is coordinated for you, the aesthetic will likely meet your expectations. But for the independent luxury traveler, the romantic weekender, or anyone optimizing for a stress-free trip, the verdict is clear. Look elsewhere. The historic village of Saugerties and the Catskill Mountains offer profound natural beauty and local culture. You can access all of it without subjecting yourself to the policies of this specific property. Amenities like radiant floor heat are secondary to the operational reliability of the property. For the independent traveler, the most valuable luxury is the absence of friction. At Diamond Mills, where administrative rigidity is a core feature, the buyer must beware.